campers of Reddit, what are some tips for someone who doesn't camp very often? Story 1. I remember Les Stroud from Survivorman telling me one of the most useful things for a fire. If you are planning on having a fire going to keep warm all night, gather wood. Once you think you have gathered enough, gather 5 times more. Tried it last camping trip, legit tip. Story 2. Half the adventure is coming up with a remedy to the shit you forgot to pack. Bring extra water. Bring extra flashlight. Make sure the propane tank is filled. Have a place to put trash. Anything light and loose is going to blow away. For you curious mountain men, a lot of places in the West forbid fires of any kind, so you have to bring in your own portable camping stoves and propane tanks. Story 3. Always pack a few days extra supplies and make sure someone who isn't coming with you knows where you are. Give them a time frame of when you'll be back and an emergency day when they should call the police. If you haven't returned, you never know what might happen. Story 4. So many tips, but I see no mention of socks. Bring lots and lots and lots of socks. They're going to get dirty and wet, and you don't want the discomfort and risk of blisters that comes from wet socks or no socks. Also no mention of poison ivy yet. Look up how to identify it and avoid it best you can. If it gets you, apply some mud immediately and let it dry out. It may not work, but it does have the chance of drawing the oils off, so you don't react as bad or for as long. Also, if you get poison ivy and the mud doesn't work, go to the doctors. Sometimes it just spreads and spreads and spreads. Story 5. Whatever you bring in, you bring out. If you're really camping, expect to carry all garbage home with you. The first rule of camping is leave only footprints, take only pictures. Story 6. Honestly, the right attitude. Everyone else is listing fantastic items, but I've camped with different kinds of people and the right attitude makes or breaks an experience. I'm not saying everyone needs to suddenly become some granola munching tree hugging enlightened hippie. In fact don't. My camping group would find that annoying. It's more like resigning yourself to maybe feeling a little damp, a little soggy, a little chill and tired. Expect some level of discomfort. Once you do, you'll find yourself just going with the flow and relaxing. People who resist this tend to get frustrated quickly and spoil their good time. Just let it happen. Smile about it. Let it go. And just enjoy the company you are with and the beauty of nature. I'm the most relaxed while I'm camping. Story 7. Easy meal. Steak, bagged salad that comes with dressing, and baked potato wrapped in foil. Or hobo packets with cubed veggies and meat. Buy or pre-make breakfast burritos and wrap them in foil to stick them in the fire's embers in the morning for a mess-free breakfast. Story 8. Don't leave your food out. This is not just due to bears, but other animals as well. Like the stealth chipmunks that tore a hole through the bottom of a bag of popcorn 3 minutes after my son put it down on the picnic table. Story 9. Don't get too far off the beaten path. If you don't camp very often, you'll undoubtedly forget something you need. If you have to hike or drive for hours to get to a town to pick something up, it'll mess up your good time. Story 10. A water filter for backpacking is probably the most useful thing I've purchased. The first camping trip I went on with my wife, we tried to boil our water. It was so impractical. Wasted fuel on our tiny gas stove, and once it was boiled it stayed hot for about an hour. Not sure what we were thinking. After that we bought a water filter, and it was much more convenient and just plain good to have. I just keep it in my day bag whenever I go out. Never know when you might run out of water and have to drink from a stream. Story 11. Bring one no shit kit for everyone camping with you. A no shit kit should contain the following: small pocket knife with a can opener, a dozen small cans of fish/ham/etc, something calorie dense, a paper map of the area and a compass, and a watertight Ziploc bag, water purifier tablets with reusable canteen, a space blanket, a fuel-free fire striker and a few sheets of tightly folded newspaper, a first aid kit with individually wrapped gauze, polysporin, and medical tape, a whistle. A no-shit kit can be assembled cheaply, and 90% of it will never need to be replaced unless you need to use it. A no-shit kit can fit in a medium-sized fanny pack. A no-shit kit can keep you alive in the dead of winter for days, let alone camping weather, should the worst happen. and you get completely separated or lost, it can and will keep you alive and relatively comfortable until rescuers, who know you're in trouble because someone not with you had your itinerary, find you, even in the event of moderate injury. Story 12. Chapstick lip balm. It's impressive how much moisturizing your lips and nose can make you more comfortable after weathering has dried you out too. Ibuprofen. You're going to be sore from sleeping poorly or drinking too little. Exotera painkillers really help improve your mood. 3. Sunscreen. Use it. Lots of it. Reapply. Sunburn sucks. 4. Lotion. Much like your lips, the rest of you will dry out. Moisture helps you feel better. 5. Wet wipes. Get your bits feeling better. You notice a theme here. All of these things seriously help you feel better. If you feel crappy, nothing is fun. Obviously bring all the other stuff. Water, water, water. But these things are not often thought of. Story 13. The name of the game is packing as light as possible with as much amenities and comfort items as possible. This will maximize your fun at the campsite. Dry foods only that can be packed in Ziplocs. Rice and beans, lentils, trail mixes, more rice. A Camelback with big pockets is invaluable for light packing. I have a Micron filter for mine, so I can fill up anywhere there is running water. Sawyer has a $15 inline filter that works swimmingly. I have saved many buddies on trails that brought a bottle of water and needed me to fill them up. If you're alone or at least sleeping alone, I personally think a hammock with a tarp and bug net setup is the best way to go. A sleep pad can make all the difference with hammock cold spots. Cocoons for hammocks are the bee's knees. If you're camping with others, that is. Sharing a tent. Make sure you seal the seams of the tent before the trip. Let a few days to dry. Apply seam seal twice and liberally. 2 of each of these items. Flashlight/headlamp. Good bush knife. Recommend Maracnov knives for beginners. Lighter/fire striker. Having fire bundles built for tinder can make setting up camp a breeze. I would recommend setting up tinder bundles before the trip. Cotton balls stuffed inside a toilet paper roll works fine, but there are many Cadillac DIY bundles to Google through. Compass. Have spare to validate readings. Never take readings while compasses are near one another. 1 of each of these items. Map of the area you are traveling. Wooden spoon. Small pot to boil water in. Small hatchet with a good wedge profile. Fishing tackle set. Sunscreen. Reflective emergency blanket. Spool of 550 cord. 20 feet length of webbing. Bathing suit. If summertime, thermal underwear for cold nights. 1 comfort item I like to have also is a small ground camping chair like the one Crazy Creek makes, except there are much cheaper options. I picked mine up at REE for about $20. Beats the hell out of sitting on the ground, and you don't have to lug one of those fold out chairs around a mountain with you. And remember, pack it in, pack it out, leave no trace behind. When you leave your site it should look as if no one was even there. Hope this helps. Story 14. I'm a bare essentials/rough it kind of camper who doesn't like to carry any more than I have to. Here's what I do always have when I'm out in the woods. Utility knife. Multi-tool. Usually the flat credit card kind with a can opener and saw blade. Clean water. Basic mess kit. Bare minimum you want a pan to heat food in, and a small pot to boil liquids in. Basic first aid kit. Ankle bandages. Sanitary wipes. Disinfectant. And other necessities. Some way to start a fire. At least 2 rolls of TP/day. Aside from the obvious, it can be used as kindling or for first aid. Story 15. Seal everything in watertight bags, whether it's dry bags specially for camping or a ton of sandwich bags. Even if your backpack is waterproof, get separate dry bags for clothes, ones that can be fully sealed, plus a bag for any wet kit. If hiking whilst camping and doing so for an extended period of time, keep an entire outfit in a separate bag in case you get wet and need to change quickly. If you're camping in an isolated area, i.e. wild camping or not in a designated campsite, bring extra supplies. It might be heavy and seem pointless, but trust me, it's worth it. Make sure your phone, or at least one person's, has enough battery for emergency use only. Have a whistle, if all else fails. If you're glamping, or have access to a car, portable solar panel, etc., then this is not so important. Bring a first aid kit. Even if it's a tiny scrape, you're going to want to clean it. Even if it seems like overkill, and there's a minute chance you'd use it, it's still worth carrying. Make sure there's an emergency blanket in there. It's tiny, light and could save your life. If you're also hiking, plan everything in advance. Have a plan on what you'd do if someone got badly hurt, or if your tent gets damaged, or if the weather takes a sudden turn for the worse when you're in the middle of nowhere. Be prepared for all possible weather conditions, may vary on location. Bug spray and blister plasters if hiking too. Multiple ways of starting a fire. Windproof/waterproof matches or fire steel equals good. Relying on one cheap lighter or one box of soggy matches equals not good. A lightweight pair of shoes, flip-flops, Vibrams, sandals etc. as well as hiking boots, provided you aren't in the middle of winter, and even so, if your shoes are wet you're going to want something to wear outside of the tent if you need the loo. If your tent is new, practice putting it up beforehand. Make sure you know how to do it quickly. If it's pouring with rain. Regardless of if you're wild camping or glamping, toilet roll, the one ply travel stuff is awful, and or wet wipes. Put it in sandwich bag. And hand sanitizer. Story 16. Buy a good USB battery pack and let it fully charge before you go. And tell the other people to do the same. I always bring two because everyone ends up using mine to charge their phones, the Bluetooth speaker, or whatever needs charging. Also bring lots of foil. We always go through a ton of foil. Story 17. Bring TP, bring hand soap, preferably a more natural one. Bring bags to contain your garbage. Make sure you have plenty of blankets. Bring a flashlight. Check ahead to see if there's a burn ban on. Bring a can opener if you plan on eating anything out of a can. Bring a cooler packed with ice. Bring a citronella candle. Always bring extra clothes. Make sure you have at least one tarp to place under the tent, preferably. Bring 223. Bring a pack of cards or such. Story 18. When I was a kid, I loved making banana boats in our campfire. Basically, you take an unpeeled banana and cut it vertically down the middle so it makes a pocket. Then you stuff the inside with marshmallows, peanut butter, and chocolate chips. Close the banana back up, wrap the whole thing in tin foil, and place the banana on the hot coals of the fire while you cook your other things. At the end of the meal you can fish the bananas out to enjoy your gooey, marshmallow-y, chocolate-y banana goodness. Story 19. My parents introduced me to camping. I grew up camping. My sister and I still go on an annual camping trip to Yosemite. I will say though, that we definitely do lazy person's camping. Neither of us like actually cooking at the campsite. So we always go out to eat. There's a nice hotel in Yosemite that we go to and splurge on a fancy dinner once during our trip. It's kinda fun getting all fancy and dressed up to go to dinner and then come back to our campsite and sleep in our tent. I like just spending the evenings hanging out around the campfire. My sister and I spend a lot of really relaxing post-dinner evenings reading or playing cards or other games next to the campfire. I also like hiking and just exploring around the place where we are camping. Some nights we go out to the meadows and lay out on the boardwalks and look at the stars and try to pick out constellations. So bring a star map with you. It's fun. Other tips that your wife might appreciate, but you might not think of: bring baby wipes. Depending on where you're camping, you might not have regular access to showers, so just having baby wipes to clean off the dust from my feet and legs makes me feel somewhat clean. I hate sleeping in a dirty tent, so we have a strict no shoes in the tent rule. All shoes remain outside. And we also have a little whisk broom and pan to get the dirt and dust out of the tent. Story 20. Main things I kick myself for forgetting. Sleeping pad to put under sleeping bag. Nothing keeps you up like a cold hard ground, even if you are in a tent. Food. Trail mix, canned soup, crackers. You can put the cans right in an open fire and eat from the can. Just make sure to bring a spoon. Don't bring too much, but you don't want to bring too little either. If you drink coffee, buy instant coffee. Not the best, but it's as good as it gets. Canteen. Also, unless you have chlorine tablets to sterilize drinking water, bring a camping pot to boil water in. My canteen has a holder that doubles as this pot, which is pretty handy. Also necessary for instant coffee. Fire. I use a flint, but matches and lighters work too. Bring some dry kindling just in case it's damp out. Flashlight. Something to do. I fish and explore when I camp, but that's not everyone's bag. Book is good. camera, etc. Protection. I camp in bear territory, so I bring a small rifle when I can, but at the very least I carry an axe and a kabar. Story 21. Start small, like in or near a campground or other humans. Never keep food in your tent. Practice setting up your tent until you can do it in your sleep. If you get caught in a downpour, you don't want to be figuring things out. Bring extra tent stakes. Pack out your trash. If you're near other campers, be quiet after 10 PM. Story 22. If you are using a sleeping bag, sleep naked or in as few as clothes as possible. Sleeping bags are designed to trap heat. More clothes, less heat to the overall bag. Your clothes keep it close to your body. Also put the clothes you plan on wearing the morning at the foot of the bag. It will keep them warm for in the morning. First one up starts the fire and makes the coffee. If you complain about the food, you get to be the cook. Story 23. It gets far colder than you would expect even in the summer, unless you live somewhere super hot. Go straight from the fire to the sleeping bag. If your feet are cold before you go to bed, they will remain cold for a very long time and keep you up. A small camping foam is far more comfortable than an air mattress. Go to the hardware store and get a bit of thick plastic sheeting. The extra layer of waterproofing will definitely help. Make sure you tuck it all under the tent, or else you're just collecting rainwater under your tent. Story 24. If you're backpacking, use a bear bag. Doesn't have to be anything special, just something to hold your food and other scented stuff that might draw a bear down on you. Trash, toothpaste, etc. Hang it off a high branch. Tie a rope to a rock, not a stick. They'll get stuck. Throw it over an isolated branch about 10 to 20 feet off the ground. Hoist up your bag. Tie it to the tree. It'll save you a lot of heartache. Story 25. I think we need more basic stuff. Don't touch the inside of the tent, especially if it's raining, but even if it has water on it from a previous shower, it will leak. This is the most counterintuitive thing if you're not used to tents. Tents often leak a bit anyway after heavy rain, especially if they get shaken about. Don't panic, it's no biggie. Always tuck the bottom of the door outside the ground sheet or rain will pour inside. Always close the fly screens inside the tent, whether you are in or out. Find the flattest ground you can and put the head ends uphill. Face the door out of the prevailing wind. Peg down all those ropes and tighten them up. That's what stops your tent blowing down on you or blowing away when you're not there. When you get home, take the tent out of the bag and hang it, or lay it out somewhere till it's completely dry, or it will mold in storage and you will be sad. Practice with your stove at home and test it before every trip. Nothing worse than getting pitched and being unable to cook dinner. If you want one pan for every purpose, get a small wok. It can fry bacon, boil rice, everything in between. And finally, here's a pro tip from a country that's plagued with biting beasts. If you have the choice between pitching in a windy spot near the top of the campsite or a lovely sheltered hollow with trees by the river, choose the windy spot. Bugs love the shelter too. I don't have experience with other places, but in Scotland, the biting midges will quickly drive you to insanity, but they can't fly against a breeze. As for all this advice about wilderness survival, I just think, if you're new to all that, start out doing it with an experienced friend. Don't be raised with a spoon in wild. If you want camping, practice on your own as a noob. Start with campsites that have showers, a shop etc, and other campers who can help you out. Wilderness camping is something to build up to. Story 26. Don't get too adventurous right away. Skip deep woods camping for now and pick a campground with showers and toilets. If you want to go luxury, bring a memory foam mattress topper for your tent floor. You've never slept so good. Don't touch the sides of the tent if it rains. You'll get wet. Camping isn't always perfect and easy, but that's half the fun. Story 27. Don't wear cotton anything ever, especially if it's cold out. I just got back from a 2-night snowshoeing trip where we were walking in the pouring rain for the first 3 hours and then in -5 temperatures for the last 3 hours before we got to the hut we were staying in. I was warm in my fleece and merino wool base layer, but I probably would have died in cotton. Also, nothing fully dries out, ever. Don't wear cotton. Story 28. If you're camping or hiking in the alpine zone, you're supposed to urinate on either the trail or on rocks. This is because animals will eat any vegetation sprayed with your precious bodily fluids. They are looking for the delectable salts and minerals your kidneys have decided to eliminate from your body. And when you do urinate, don't do it on the rock right next to your tent, unless you want to hear Bambi and all of his friends trampling the earth next to your tent all night. Story 29. I haven't seen this mentioned, but we have a camp box for car camping. One of those large Rubbermaid containers that always go on sale. We keep camp food, nuts, tuna, condiments, as well as toilet paper, paper towels, hot dog skewers, silverware, wipes, mess kit, first aid kit, sunscreen, bug spray, flashlights, batteries, etc. This way all of our camp stuff stays together year round, so we just have to check and restock prior to each trip. I made a checklist I taped to the inside of the lid with a list. Cuts down on forgetting things. Also, those Rubbermaid containers are waterproof, so if it rains we just put the lid on it, leave it outside, and our stuff stays dry. The next most important thing is sleeping. Bring more blankets than you think you'll need. In the blanket department it's always better to be over-prepared, because sleeping cold sucks. Don't spend a lot on an air mattress. We seemed to buy one every single year before we finally moved up to cots. But the $20 ones are just as comfortable as the $50 ones. And cots, while heavy and not cheap, definitely improve the sleep experience. And s'mores. Never forget the s'mores. Story 30. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson went on a camping trip. After a good meal and a bottle of red, they lay down for the night and went to sleep. Some hours later Holmes woke up, nudged his faithful friend and said, "Watson, I want you to look up at the sky and tell me what you see." Watson said, "I see millions and millions of stars." Sherlock said, "And what does that tell you?" After a minute or so of pondering, Watson said, "Astronomically, it tells me that there are millions of galaxies and potentially billions of planets. Astrologically, I observe that Saturn is in Leo. Horologically, I deduce that the time is approximately 3:15 in the morning. Theologically, I can see that God is all-powerful and that we are small and insignificant. Materiologically, I suspect that we will have a beautiful day today. What does it tell you?" Holmes was silent for about 30 seconds and said, "Watson, you idiot. Someone has stolen our tent. Always remember a tent." Story 31. I'm a field geologist. I've lived out of tents for 30 days straight in national parks, forests, and wildernesses. I also did a few summers in rural China, which does not come with NPS accommodations. Here are my tips. Bring a compass. Make sure you know the magnetic declination of your camping location, and that you've set your compass correctly based on that location. Bring a topo map. You can buy a quadrangle map of your camp area for cheap on the USGS website. Bring a GPS if you can. Phones don't work in the wild. Not even satellite ones work all that well. Don't park your tent where it could get wiped away by a flash flood. Bring a can opener and a wine opener. If you're backpacking for the first time, don't go with someone who only car camps. These are two vastly different forms of camping. Wear bright colored clothing, especially if you are hiking in unfamiliar territory. It makes it easier to find you if you get lost. Bring a first aid kit. Everyone in the party should have their own, and it should include at least the following, which can all be purchased in travel size lightweight versions from Amazon. Moleskin. Break in those hiking boots, but this will help with blisters. Bring scissors for cutting the moleskin. Sunscreen and aloe vera. SPF 15 minimum. And don't forget to put it on your scalp. Skin cancer doesn't care what your skin color is. Benadryl, Neosporin, Pepto, aspirin, ibuprofen, Gatorade powder. Peptol literally saved my ass in China. Band-aids of all sizes, bandages, and butterfly clips, alcohol wipes, hand sanitizer and water purifying pills. A solar blanket, fire starter, flares, a sewing kit, tweezers, rope, can make a good tourniquet, and a utility knife. If you are going out of country, get scripts for at least Tamiflu and ciprofloxacin. These are hardcore drugs on their own, and should be used as a last resort. If you are female, bring at least one morning after pill with you. Rape on the trail is a real thing. Plus, Shrexy times can go down on the trail too. Beware of wildlife. Know what predators exist in your area. Snakes are pretty much everywhere. You can buy laminated ID cards to help you identify which are deadly. Ditto cacti if you're in the southwest. Cougars are known to hunt and prey on humans for food. Groups are a good idea in cougar country. Beware of ticks. Check for them every day, everywhere. Buy a compact with a mirror because you'll be wanting to check every crevice of your body. I knew a guy who found 3 ticks in his ass crack once. Also check your scalp. I have long hair and wear a bandana to keep them from getting in my hair on breezy days, but I've still found ticks in my hair after a shower and thorough shampoo. Ticks carry disease everywhere. Lyme is found as far south as Louisiana. In the west they carry Rocky Mountain fever. In Europe they carry a nasty type of encephalitis. Bears will attack if surprised. Sows with cubs are the most dangerous. Bears rarely attack groups of 3 or more, but it's a good idea to wear bells on your pack so bears hear you coming. Or bring a whistle. If you are in bear country, carry bear spray on you, on a belt. This isn't stuff you spray around to keep bears out. It's like pepper spray. I've come across bears and the people with the spray had it in the bottom of their pack. The bear was there and gone before they even found the spray. I've also heard stories of tents ripped to shreds and rav forests destroyed by grizzlies, and these were cases involving seasoned backpackers. Never put your kitchen, bathroom and tent in the same area. You always want these at least 100 yards away from each other. Hang a flag if you can't figure out which way the wind is blowing. Keep your tent upwind of where you're cooking. Never enter your tent with food or clothes that smell like food. Keep all things smelly outside and downwind of where you are sleeping. I mean all things. Don't even keep toothpaste in your tent. Smelly stuff can be put in a bear canister or a bear cache. Some campgrounds have these. If car camping, don't keep trash in your car. In bear country, everyone I know sleeps with spray, a knife, a gun or both. Bears are nocturnal and most of them don't actually hibernate. Juvenile grizzlies can climb trees as well as black bears, so think carefully before deciding to hang your trash in a tree. There are national parks, but also forests and wildernesses. They come with different rules. The wildernesses have the strictest rules, meaning you can only enter on foot via a NPS forest, and whatever you pack in you must pack out, including your own feces. Toilet paper. I pack it out in Ziploc bags. Baby wipes are useful here too if you're spending weeks in a tent. Just keep this smelly stuff near the kitchen trash. Baby powder is great for a quick greasy hair fix. Screw dry shampoo, and don't do this in your tent. Plus, there's nothing wrong with a cold water river bath if you happen to be camping in that kind of area. If you're doing real camping, then refrigeration will likely be a problem for you. Make PB&J your friend. Also jerky. Cliff bars. Also, dry ramen. Sounds weird, but it was sort of like tasty crackers and we ate it for a field lunch in China quite often. Provided carbs for hiking and electrolytes for water loss. Dried fruit, nuts, apples last a while. So do many breads. Eggs and some cheeses will last up to a week without refrigeration. Consider climate and what your tent is rated for. Don't buy a 4-season tent unless you're planning to climb Everest. And pack layers. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more daily videos.